it's on the other side. Okay. I'm looking at
Okay,
the green
there.
light.
I know, so was I.
You got bum advice.
Bum advice?
Bum advice.
From me.
I was looking at the green light. Go.
I gave bum advice.
It's red. Go.
Sorry, I gave you bum advice.
I'm over it.
I'm also the technical advisor, so this isn't going so well. Well, here we are talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the date today?
20th of August, 2025.
At 12:22 p.m. Pacific time. We have myself, Monique Courteau, and
Me, Lorne Cardinal.
And so we decided that we were going to have a chat about the experience of, I don't know, landing on making
Just landing on
sonnets.
the Shakespeare sonnets, yeah.
And then what I'm asking of you is to ask you to share what you're comfortable sharing about the discomfort of working with me on it to get to where we've gotten to, as well as the good parts. I welcome some of the stuff because I can only see it from my side. I can't be in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in mine, and I'm so proud of us for what we've made so far.
Yeah, I like what we've done, and the process to get there was quite interesting as well. Because it is a process. We didn't land on the idea and just went from there. We started with one idea of it and then moved to another idea and then another and then another. And then it just developed into what it is now, the animation, which is pretty amazing. And it supports the voice and the voice supports the animation. So that's a beautiful balance.
And prior to the thing of even landing on doing the sonnets, I'm even interested in exploring a bit of that, whether that's another conversation or if we come back to that at some point, because even getting to that took some doing. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And I am okay, even though I'm feeling a little vulnerable about it, but this is the part of being creative. Once even being in the sonnets and doing the work, there's been vulnerability layered throughout, right? We talked earlier when we were talking about, what did I say? I asked you if you can recall at any point about either going on stage or doing a performance where you didn't feel some kind of, what did I say, like anxiety
nerves,
or a bit of nerves or something? And your answer was?
Yeah, no. Everything involving public or even, is fraught with nerves. But it's excitement too. Those nerves are excitement about what's coming up. And of course you question if you prepped enough and if you're ready enough. And because they say there's 3 auditions that you give when you're looking on a project. One is the audition you do on the way there. The second one is the audition itself. And the third one is the audition on the way home after you're done. And that one is always the best because there's no nerve, there's no stress. And then that's when you get...
your shoulda, coulda, woulda?
Your shoulda, coulda, wouldas come out. I should have... why didn't I do that then? It's because the nerves get in there and they tends to tighten you up a little bit. So it's there's important things to do before the audition so you don't have the regrets afterwards. But again, it's being aware that they exist and embracing it. Embrace the nerves, going, okay, yeah, this is normal. And then just try not to let those nerves overrun you.
Who, you said a name of somebody, Howard Fine or Feynman?
Yeah, Howard Fine.
Fine? And what did he say and who is he? And
he's an acting coach out of Los Angeles. He's renowned for working with big time actors, and Austin Butler's his latest one, the guy who played Elvis in the Baz Luhrmann or whatever his name is.
And what's the thing that you said that he said about nerves? You said
Yeah, nerves. He said they're not a bad thing. It means that you're invested.
Right.
It's a sign of investment. Lack of nerves is that you're not invested enough.
Okay. That's right. I was trying to remember.
If you're doing stuff and you go, you have no fear about it, then perhaps you're not going deep and making yourself vulnerable enough to matter. So these things, yeah.
And
Like
then
all characters that you audition for, and this is just the acting thing, is if you're auditioning for a character, all characters have aspects of yourself in it. So your job is to pull those aspects out of yourself and put it into the characters where so there's a connection there. There's a vulnerability. Because all your characters, yeah, there's a process to it. So there's all the characters have pieces of the actor in them, and it's a matter of melding them and pulling them out and being honest to the words of the character.
now, is that when you say that, I can see you saying it with conviction and belief, and it feels like something that you know, and I'm assuming it's also because of your years of being in this profession, stage, theater, theater and film, TV. But was that also part of your training or part of what you've acquired over time? Because when you say it with this authority, I feel it too, but I'm wondering where and how
it's the process of learning and then lifelong learning. And then every project I do, you learn something more that you take forward with you. But the basics of acting training is to connect to a truth, finding the way to tell the truth.
So classical theater training really speaks to that specifically. Yeah. It's not a specific method, specific thing, but it's something that you had foundational to yours, and that.
Yeah, in theater school, especially classical theater training, you're given all these tools to work with when you're approaching, like if you're doing a Shakespeare play. You have all this background knowledge of rhythm and
iambic pentameter,
and when you get into prose and verse, how to speak them differently and effectively. You have all these tools, but then at the same time, you have to forget it all and speak the character. The character, you have to make a believable human being who speaks in this language. So you have to find out what the important idea of each sentence is. And then you as you unspool it, you also have to work into the making it seem like it's just occurring to you now in reaction to or in response to whatever happened before.
So that it is so personal, and you're seeing something happening on my face right now. That walk that we had the other day down along that path where we saw the bear in the tree. But you were telling me about that workshop that you did at the Denver Center, or that you got brought down to the Denver Center, those people you worked with and that woman. That brought me to tears. But I believe you said everyone that was there too brought to tears. But the journey of that story, and you've told it to me before, but every time I hear it, I'm brought to tears because it's people that aren't trained in acting. Your skill and understanding that you were able to bridge over to people to bring what you're describing to them. That would be really interesting to explore, whether now or later. But what you're describing, that makes me think of that. Would you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Because I think it still relates to what we're doing with the sonnets. We'll come back around. But what did you teach? What did you get brought down for? Who were the people? What happened there?
I was brought into the Denver Center, and it's kind of a backstory behind that. We did a play there, and they were remounting it, and the guy wanted me to do it again, and I wasn't really wanting to do it again because I'd done it once already, and I wasn't interested in doing this a revise. And the revisions of the play were not what I thought should be happening, so it wasn't really selling me on it. But he brought me down to do a workshop anyway, so we could chat about it. So it was kind of like a two-pronged thing that he had in mind, a crafty bastard.
Right.
But I decided to do just a little Shakespeare acting workshop for the weekend, and it was open to everyone in the community in Denver, and the Denver Center had its community of people who support the arts and stuff. And so I had, I would say maybe it was about 10 people sign up for, and it was a 2-day workshop. It was like a Saturday, Sunday type of deal. And it was just to get familiarized with Shakespeare. So I just suggested that the people coming in pick a sonnet to make it easy. Any sonnet or scene they wanted to do, or monologue or whatever, just something from Shakespeare that we could work on.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Pick something from Shakespeare to make it easy. Yeah. I'm laughing because I think back to, but yes, you said to pick something.
So when I first walked in there and introduced to the class, I was surprised to see, number one, they were all women. And number two, it ranged from like 17 to 60 something. So it's a diverse range of people who were curious about Shakespeare and were brave enough. And that's what I find too, in like a lot of things, is the women are always the first and the bravest to step forward and go, I'll give it a go. I'm curious about this. So they were totally willing and open and trusting, and I did the weekend doing body work, awareness, working on speech and articulation, how to stand, how to command a space, how to some body work, did some body alignment work with them, stuff I've learned over the years to just help them. So I've taken all these pieces and putting it together and running them through a little program. So at first I had they all had to stand up in front of everybody and say their piece. So just the first day introduction, everyone stood and did their sonnets and pieces or whatever. And then we did some work and stuff, and then we started slowly, then I'd walk around and we'd slowly work on approach on how to take the pieces apart and how to make sense of them, how to find the specificity. Because that's the thing with Shakespeare, as we've seen, you can be generalized emotion. You get caught up in the stage direction, angry, and then you do everything angry, and it's an angry tone. It's like, but that's not human.
Yeah.
And these characters are human. So that's the trick, is to find the humanity and find where the turns happen. That's the exciting part. You started, yay, and then you get delivered some horrible news. Oh my God, then the news gets worse because they mentioned your name, and it's like, oh my God.
And I want to say too, what's become so mind-boggling to me is the depths of just a sonnet, which you think it's so short and you can just, I can pronounce most of it, like as long as they're words that you've seen, even if they seem Old English, you can pronounce them.
Yeah.
But what you're describing, that's been the humbling, mind-boggling journey into it. So please continue what you're saying. You asked them to read their piece.
And the other tools that you use is the lexicon.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these words have archaic meanings, which totally changes the meaning of the sonnet. If you're using a word you're using the modern interpretation of it, but then when you look it up and go, oh, it didn't mean that, it meant the opposite. And it was like, oh, well, that changes everything then. So.
And even just to quickly touch on it, because I've heard the word lexicon. I didn't really understand it in context of what it's kind of like. Lexicon's not necessarily a word that everybody uses every day too. So lexicon's kind of like a Shakespearean dictionary almost, or a thesaurus, or a guide dictionary. To. Yeah. So, but that's all I'm saying too, is to just go lexicon. When you talked about it and going, there's a lexicon, and I'm like, okay, I kind of know. But that's why Shakespeare, even in and of itself, you go diving deeper and go, oh, lexicon. I'm just saying it as a layman who's not in that. So you go into the Shakespeare lexicon to look it up.
And it's 2 volumes. And somebody, I don't know who did it, but there's some scholars who went through the words and put the meanings and the different meanings in alphabetical order, and then listed all the plays that this definition applies to. So when you look up the word, there's a definition, and then there's all the abbreviated plays and sonnets and poems that it refers to. And then there's a second version, and then more lists of what plays it's used in this context. And it's used in this context in these plays and these sonnets.
Yeah.
So it's very important to find the specifics. That's why when you do Shakespeare, it's table work. The first thing before you get on your feet, you have to know what you're saying. You should know what you're saying, which means you have to sit down and go line by line, paraphrase it. If the rhythm terrifies you, just go to the sentence by sentence. And what does it mean? Paraphrase it. What does this mean? You don't know? You don't know what this word means? Look it up.
This reminds me, though, of all my work in British common law language by having lawyers as my main clients, reading things like notwithstanding clauses. That's what I did my backstroke in for 20 years, working in that language. But it's not the same as a Shakespearean play, but there are common language, because we're lawyers of those time were devising things too of British common law. They weren't doing it on a 3/4 thrust stage or what it was the round. What are those ones called?
The round.
The round. So it was different. It was, in powdered wigs. It was a different. Well, powdered wigs were both places, I'm sure, but that thing, it's just different. But you were saying, though, you were guiding these women through taking them into the lexicon to then take them in to start to...
We're just finding the specificity of their pieces and going through it, and then slowly, and then they get up, and then we just work it. We go line by line and stop them when something wasn't clear, and then we'd go back and they'd say, what do you mean by this? And just ask them questions about it. Not making it wrong, saying you made a mistake. It's like, no, this isn't clear for me. Why is that? And then we'll go over it, and she goes, oh, because of it. I'm not quite sure what this means. And well, let's look it up. Let's find the meaning of it. Here's the meaning. Oh, okay. Then she'll put it in and reprogram it and start from the beginning and then make sense of it and go, which changes the next line, which changes the next line after that. So it's a voyage of discovery going, oh, okay. Then after all that, you understand the clarity. Then you start playing with the meter. Then you start playing with the rhythm and having fun with it. One of the best scenes, it was still my favorite, and I've seen it done just on the Laurence Olivier's Richard III, and he has a scene where he's wooing Lady Anne, the woman whose husband is being buried because Richard killed him. So he's wooing the widow as her husband's body's being carried through. He starts pitching woo at her in the midst while the body of the husband's right there. And by the end of the scene, he gets her to commit to come and see him later, as her husband's body is right there, still freshly bleeding from the wounds.
I'm sorry, this is a spoiler alert thing that I'm going to be spoiling it, if you can answer. Does she know that he did that?
She suspects. It's been intimated to her.
Okay.
And she says, but there's just this beautiful exchange in that courtship between her. And the scene works so well if it's done at speed. It's back and forth. It's fancier. It's rapier work. It's fencing. It's back and forth. And the words. And then when she spits at him, there's a pause. Because he's just crazy enough to fucking kill her right there.
Oh.
But he goes into another line of sweet talk, which never came poison from us. I wish that spit. Why dost thou spit at me? Wish that it was poison for thy sake. Never came poison from a sweeter place.
Ooh.
Smooth talker. But yeah, so I saw that before I got into the acting program, but I remember seeing that on film and just loving the back and forth.
Yeah, and the speed.
Ping pong.
The cadence, and then
Yeah. And then so those pauses are earned and filled. And that's what you find. Then you find, if you're going to do that, then you find as you're rehearsing it, if too much space in between responses back and forth, if there's too much space in between, it kind of brings the whole scene down.
And I just was experiencing that, trying to record that song that I wrote and trying to get over my nerves. You can tell the pace, like my pace I've had pace better, but when I was recording it to share with Charlie that I told you, and I probably will send him that recording, but I'm terrified, but you could hear it. And I kept having trouble. I kept fumbling the piano, and I can play better piano and I can sing better than what's on there, but I'm terrified because sending it to somebody like him who's worked with the kinds of people and sending this thing I'm just making just because it's creating and challenging myself, and I'm scared.
Yeah.
But I'm glad in you talking about Howard Fine and stuff, about the nerves or the invested. I'm invested because I want to keep transcending and trying. And you saw me tearing up when you were describing, because I know I've heard it a few times. That's why I want you to tell it.
Well,
but
that's what I'm getting.
But the women, though, I'm tearing up because I'm wishing I could have been one of those people there. And I know how wonderful you are to work with. I've seen how safe you are to work with. I've had the benefit. We just had our anniversary yesterday, sweets. I mean, the beautiful
15 years
married
7.
since 2018. 7, yeah.
Did the math.
But I've seen how wonderful of a teacher you are. That's why I think too, had you decided to continue in teaching, I've seen you do audition workshops. I've seen you work with people at all different levels to, you know, working in the National Arts Center on King Lear as the assistant director playing a role, and I've seen you work with people of all different backgrounds in all different situations, and you are a beautiful teacher. So I'm tearing up at imagining those women getting to dip their toe in the Shakespearean water, and to have somebody like you be who you are to help them through. And then how much being in and around Shakespeare has opened me up in ways I never would have imagined. I still can feel panic at thinking back to English class going, what's this going to do? Like that, and not knowing. But hearing you talk, though, about guiding them through. So the specificity you were saying about that.
Yeah.
Taking them to the lexicon.
And being, and making them connect and seeing them being receptacles. They're just open and learning and not pushing back. They're going, oh, okay. And then they're trying it. They're trying things, which is incredibly brave. If you've never done it before and go, oh, okay, this is, the thirst of knowledge that they had.
Overcame.
And their openness to learning and being learned. And I just, made sure that they all felt safe and knew that they weren't being judged, but were exploring together. And I'm just helping them share what I know, because I don't know their lives. I don't know their backgrounds. I don't know their personal histories, but I'm just sharing what I can. And the way that you create opening and openness is by exposing yourself to say, hey, here's what I've done. And, I've made mistakes. I don't know. And it's okay to say, I don't know, because not everybody knows everything. I don't know, but let's find out. Let's figure it out.
Intimidating language, really. Like, I can see why people are off put, because you're like, oh my God, it seems like a...
And a lot of them
iambic pentameter.
And a lot of them said the same thing, is that the last time they heard Shakespeare was in high school, and it was terrible. And it wasn't explained well, because teachers aren't actors. And Shakespeare was written by an actor.
Or it was something stuffed in the curriculum for a teacher who doesn't care about it.
Yeah. Who's not going to go as in depth. Is not, because Shakespeare is meant for performance. It's not meant to be academically dissected and talk about parentheses and the importance of this and that. Shakespeare was, because of this method of acting at that point, he used his punctuation is basically signs for when the actor did take a breath. That's what a comma means, take a breath. And then run through the rest. And it's like, you find the rhythms, then you use your ears and you go, okay. And if I take a breath here, it's good, I can reach the end of it. And it's just like that one sonnet we were working on, if the surly sullen bells, that one, that first.
Was that 61, 65, or 71? It's one of those three.
I think it's 71.
Yeah, that was
But I noticed right after the first time I noticed, when I looked at it, started working on it, I looked for the punctuation. And I went, oh my God, the first 6 or 7 lines, there's no punctuation.
Yeah.
There's no comma, and it's like, so what does that mean? That means it's one big thought that he's having right then and there, and it's a life. It's like a guy at the end of his life, and he's thought about this for a while, and here's what he thought for the last 20 years since his health started turning, or whatever. You make up something like that. It means something to find the clarity. And then you have to have the physical mechanics to be able to do that in one breath without
saying it like gasping. Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Without dying off at the end because you run out of air. Yeah.
I was curious. I remember asking you about this, but now I'm not actually recalling what your answer was, because I was thinking about it. Because I'm thinking too, at least even in my own writing of free verse or a limerick or some kind of couplets or different types of rhyming, or like writing for a song, which is meant to be done aloud. But I wonder, are those sonnets, were they meant to be read, or did he write them as thoughts down on paper, not necessarily meant to be performed? Like, I wonder that too, because I know the plays where you say commas for places for breath to help give that. Do you happen to know much, or about whether the sonnets were meant to be?
I think the sonnets were meant to be
performed
performed aloud.
Yeah, I was just curious because that was a monster of a opening to that sonnet,
because
to go, whoa.
you go into that time period.
Yeah.
Look at the history of that time period. How many people were literate to be able to read Shakespeare at that point? The most common people weren't literate. The commoners were not literate, but they had incredible hearing.
Oh, that makes sense then.
So they could recite stuff they'd heard, because that's what they were trained.
Right.
That's what they were mostly literate.
That was the language they were speaking.
Upper class, and maybe they could afford books. Printing wasn't that widely available either.
Yeah,
so
expensive.
There wasn't like paperbacks around.
True.
So it would be down to street performers reciting the latest sonnets that they've heard somewhere in a bar or someplace.
And then if you're not using paper and writing a lot too, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was just curious because that thing of going back to that sonnet, the surly Ellen Bell give warning to the world that I am fled to
from this vile world.
Even remembering, because I remember trying to even do it myself and going, you need some lungs, you need some breath work and training to be able to not sound like you're panicking to get through before your breath runs out. But back to...
And then put in meaning.
Yeah. Oh, and then that, the depth of the meaning. Yeah. It has been a journey and a half, though. Yeah. Like those, we'll come back to that. But the women, though, that you were working with to take them through to...
Yeah, to work on. There's one gal, she picks on at 33, which I just rediscovered recently, why it's popped up fresh in my brain. Because that was the sonnet she picked, was 33. And it's very... it's full of visual images of the world around, sunrise, sunsets, and stuff like that. But at the end, the Shakespeare's lamenting about the passing of the sun being clouded and the world going gray and stuff like that. And they go, and she did it fine, except but I could tell that she was just skimming the surface of it, talking about a sunlight and sunset and gray clouds, and you could see it. It was clear enough, but there was something missing, something I wasn't feeling from the words itself, but from what she did. And then I just remembered that, and I asked her, I said, are you aware of Shakespeare's history, like personal history? And she goes, no. And I said, do you have children? And she did. And I said, well, Shakespeare had kids too, but at one point he had a son who didn't live past infancy. And then she just stood there, and I said, so when you're saying son, what do you think if he's meaning not the sun in the sky, but the son of his baby who's passed on, his son who died?
Oh.
And then she took it in, and then she absorbed it, went over it a few times, and then when she did it again, it fucking connected, and not a dry eye in the house, because she went there. She connected the lines to her own personal son, her own child, and just put in, imagine if it was her son that passed at this moment. And,
see, I'm crying again.
And it changed the whole tone, and it was the most honest, truthful thing. And it was just that, not a tear in the house. And I went, that was it.
Not a dry eye.
Not a dry eye in the house. And they all returned after the first day.
Oh, that's good. There's a good sign.
Successful thing, because they did a bunch of stuff off the top, and then they all came back the next day bright and early and wanting to continue playing. So I was like, yay.
And I didn't ask you this the first time, but it just occurred to me now. When you were having that asking her if she knew the history of Shakespeare and Shakespeare losing his son. Were you speaking that to her privately, or was it an intimate moment just in front of the whole group?
Yeah, in front of the whole group, because
Okay.
she was up there standing in front, done it, and then I just threw her some stuff and some information and just clarity, looking for clarity, and then his personal information mixed with her personal information made it changed everything, and it was like, oh, okay.
Because I don't know why it just. That hadn't occurred to me the first time, and then just again, I'm imagining what it was like for those women to be there and to have you guiding them through, and then it reminded me of a.
Yeah, it could have been. I could have. More than likely, I got up to talk to her, because that's one thing I learned with my director that I've worked with, who I really loved, was Donovan Marley, who was the artistic director of Denver Center. When he was directing us, he'd sit in the house of this like 1,200 seat theater. He'd sit right in the middle and he'd watch, and then he'd say, okay, stop. Then he'd come walking down up on the stage, talk to the actor. You might want to try this and that and the other thing. Then he'd go back up to the seats and he'd sit there. Okay. So he would never just bellow from the house.
Oh, that's good.
He would just, no, never. He would never do that. He'd always get up and make a point. If the actor was getting off course, he'd get up, he'd go up there and have a one-on-one with them and guide them through.
There's another intimacy there,
and
showing
respect.
you're invested. Yeah, that's it. You're not just yelling at somebody from far, don't do that, go over here. There would be something more gentle and connecting with somebody close up, face to face. You're saying it.
And then on the actor side, it would put more emphasis to try something more, because you want to repay the respect that you've been given, and not make the poor guy come all the way down again. It's like, okay, I'm going to try this.
But
and
that,
then,
on a bunch of levels, that's lovely.
It's a good
lovely.
connection, because that's what the arts is, connecting, right?
Yeah, it is.
Working with each other to create art, and you try and connect, and that's when the magic happens, is when you're both connecting and open and trusting and safe, and then, wonderful things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what you described, and I'm feeling it again, like tearing up. Her own son, his son. I don't have a son other than our boy dog that we don't have our boy dog anymore, our boy and our boy cat, our boys. But somebody that you care about, your friend, you can hear that universality of somebody losing a child, like it's hard for me to, that's why I wanted to, us just even to talk about this today, having some things go on and us working together and trying to, just trying to find ways that feel okay for where we're at, because it's like our emotional weather changes.
Yeah, and where we started is when we landed on Shakespeare, it's because it was something I loved to do and I wanted to explore more. And I've never went in depth on, I did maybe one in speech class where we had to learn one of the sonnets, and then we were grilled over them over and over by our speech teacher on how to speak them better and clearer, and using rhythm and all the stuff that I've learned, all the tools. So that was just one. So I always wanted to work on other sonnets. So it was a chance that it occurred. But also the way we do it with the animation, and because if you go on the YouTube, you see a lot of sonnets, you see actors doing the sonnets in front of the camera. And I wanted to stay away from that, because what I watched, I saw actors performing, and then I get distracted by that and seeing, oh, I believe them, oh, I don't believe them, oh, that's interesting, why did they choose that, oh, that's interesting, and not connect with the words. I'm not hearing the words, I'm being distracted by the visual of the actor. And so that's why I prefer the way we do it, where I just focus on getting the clarity of the thought, so people hearing. And because we're such a visual age these days, and snippets of information, all the shorts and this and that, and it's like we forget how to listen and how to enjoy the beauty of words.
So I like the idea of podcasts, though, and where there's a good chance this will end up, but listening. The
Yeah.
skill of just
The
listening.
skill of listening and listening to rhythm and hearing the tones and the shifts and the connectivity and the emotions.
And
so and that's my challenge to do it, is to find the truth in each one. So I only pick the sonnets that connect to me somehow.
yeah,
And then
You
I
took
try and
the
use
time.
all those tools to try and record it in our little bedroom studio.
And how many again? Like there's 130 something.
100, yeah, something like that.
And then you scanning them all to find the ones, reading them and continuing to read them. I think we've got about 13 or 14 recorded. I've engineered, but then also the amount of time for each single one to go through, record it multiple times in our home studio. Then you get to the point that you enjoy, or not enjoy, that you're satisfied, I guess. Is that the right word that you would say?
Yeah.
That you're taking the time to get it to that place for yourself. And then you're giving it to me. I trusting me to then do my listen and wait for my feelings, my thoughts, I don't know what my ear, my heart, my mind, and then going through that. Or if you've been doing it and going, I'm not sure, the process. And then in some cases, you giving it a day after you've listened, and then you go, no, I want to go back. I don't like those. And even if if I'm okay with them, we don't want to proceed unless you're okay with them, because to me, at the heart of it is it's you and yours. That's why to have eventually landed on it, I'm so glad. And it had been a bit of, how about this? And kind of, I could tell that you weren't keen on some other things, but that's okay, because it's the truth. That's what I've loved about stand-up before. If somebody laughs, especially when it's a dark room and they're under the cover of darkness, or I've had somebody laugh despite themselves, I like the truth of that. I also like when they don't laugh, if it's true. Don't think it's funny, don't laugh. Don't do me any favors. It's like a yes person. I hate that shit. If you like it, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. That's just fine. But we go through that process with each other. And, I was playing around with your words early on. I don't remember if they were fully baked with the sound engineering, because again, I've been learning all this stuff I didn't know how to do before, or know the way I know it as I keep acquiring more knowledge on. But where I was taking it through like Adobe, I can't remember which one, character animate. Like if there's one where, remember that lemon and the clay lips? And then I was practicing the robot with our marriage vows, like learning how to articulate the arms and stuff, and going, I don't know. Is there something kind of funny contrast to make Shakespeare accessible? When I had those red clay lips that I was taking your voice, and then it would animate the things moving to the sound waves. And then when I got that gorgeous headshot, very like gravitas, those are nice headshots. And then using my graphic design training and experience to do a really nice, I'm still think it looks pretty good. And putting that waveform, learning how to use Adobe After Effects to make on these alpha, like there's alpha channels and nulls, like all these things. But I played around with a whole bunch of different waveforms. Some of them look like more traditional. Some of them look like artistic with this weird looking marbly, cloudy, where I was going, what supports your language? From my artistry, what holds it up? What supports it? Not where we've landed to, what that process was. I had you as a lemon, cartoon lemon. And I thought maybe, you never know, maybe it could work, because then it's approachable Shakespeare with a lemon, a cartoon lemon. But then I don't want to make fun of you and your, I'm holding you up, not how does this work? What does it look like? Tried it, and it's a big no. But I tried it. And now I might use a lemon character for something else, for something comical and funny. We might have a utility for it later. But when I tried all the waveforms and stuff, I was also looking at it from a producer's perspective of what is my current level of capability, what holds up your professionalism and all the work that you've done, and am I slouching because I'm scared to do something that's more work? Or what is it? Because I wasn't, as nice as it ended up looking, I still wasn't quite satisfied. And I don't remember if I think you said that you were okay with it, which I was almost going to go ahead with that. But then when I thought about it, I thought, there's going to be, if we're going to do like a dozen of them, where's the variation? And for me, in art, in all sorts of things, it's the same in the rhythms where you're just talking about the Richard III with him wooing her, like the speed, and then woo, like that. Repetition with variation is a huge thing in music, in art, in visual arts, in songs, like zip, 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 slow, like fast, and then medium, and then a quick, and then those different types of things, they're interesting. If I would have stuck with a waveform, the only thing that would have been moving is the waveform, and that gets kind of, to me, it felt kind of lazy, and I don't like to do work that I feel like I'm being a little lazy to get it done. I thought if it means delaying it a bit longer, I don't know how much of it was at the point that I could articulate it the way I am now, but I thought, there's William Shakespeare, centuries, been around centuries. Then there's you've been classically trained, you've done all the work that you're putting in. It took the work that we took to land on something that we both wanted to do, because that mattered. We both wanted to have something satisfying, creatively challenging. And then I didn't want to be lazy. And then putting into a visual framework of a cleanliness that's it's like a bit of quiet, but still has a humanity to it. And then something replicable within reason, 4 frames per second. At a minute something, it's still over 500 individual drawings, even though in some ways, at least to me, because I'm not a formally trained, I've had limited experience doing animations. I remember doing a flip book back in grade 6 and some other, and things beyond, like I've done some stuff, but not a lot. But to land there, and all the work that we've done, and they're like a minute 20, oh my God, doing all of that work to land there and to have these, but I'm proud of what we have done, the quality of our effort and our desire to do something that we with each other look at and go, we're doing what feels true. We're doing what that hits that place where we go, yeah, I'm good with this. As good as what you can be with making something that's your own, where you don't go, oh, perfectionism's a killer, but reaching that point of feeling what you said about it, connecting, feeling it, hearing it, being able to understand it. That's there. It's there. I know there's that one that I'm having a bit of difficulty because it sounds like a comical, that one with the wires for hairs, is that the one? I don't remember which one that is, but that one will be an interesting challenge because I do like it. It's just the language isn't language that we know it sounds different. And it still takes me a bit to get there to remember that it's that paradox of what love brings. Yeah. Well, especially too, just having our anniversary yesterday, like the depth of getting to know somebody over time and appreciating them and loving them more. And there's just something that it doesn't matter that it's somebody, whether it's in a magazine or a painting or a something that those comparisons that Shakespeare makes, the way that only I've seen him do. Yeah, that one's grown on me. But I know part of it, my resistance is because the language, you listen to it with a contemporary ear, with today's ear, it does sound different. But when you can start to immerse in it enough to go back in time and to listen with something more akin as what you can get to listening back at the time of what he was saying, to say it the way that he does. I'm looking forward to tackling that one. And then I don't know, are you thinking of doing 33 now that you've revisited?
There's a couple more that I've stumbled over going, oh, this would be nice.
And then I hear you say that and I both go, oh, good. And then I go, oh God. Because it's like each one of these animations I do too, I get a little more, I don't know, the mental kerfuffle over getting a little more skill acquisition. It's a double-edged sword because then it's like I'm holding myself up against this earlier. Yeah, it's a whole turducken of thought, many levels of trying to figure out what to do next. But I like that. I like it. I like the immersion into Shakespeare but I think like maybe another time, I feel like we're kind of reached our limit on this, and I'm grateful that we've gotten here. And this unto itself will be its own thing. More to talk about, more to feed into the creative machine, and then even to talk about this as a thing of what we needed to do to protect our energy. That we did some things first, like getting out for our walk and trying to get our sleep back on track after being sick there for a while. Where we were out the Governor General Performing Arts Awards and coming back. And then we've been trying to get back on track from that. You've been doing an audiobook as well. So your voice, and you're staying in a hotel away from home. And it's there's a lot of upheaval and emotional ups and downs. It's not all the shiny looking celebrity stuff that sometimes people may, because they see the end product. They're not always privy.
Yeah, it's not always champagne and hot tubs. It's being away from home, and in most cases alone, because you're in a different place, a different.
Yeah.
You're out of your rhythm, you're out of your element, you're away from your people, you're away from your connects, and it's like, okay, well, and that happens a lot. You see a lot of actors and people who work away from home for long periods of time, and they get lonely. I'm talking with Gil about that.
Yeah, I think
how hard it is. Yeah,
I think that was the same trip that when that oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. The lead Sugar Ray singer that bought us. He bought us dinner that night when we were all Mark. Yeah. But that I remember Gil saying that, and it is the loneliness that was part of why stand up. I just thought when you and I got together, not wanting to be living separate lives in shitty hotels, seeing each other every once in a while, why pursuing stuff like this made sense. Use our collective skills, and I know we've talked about it before, but moved around a lot. We're used to that sort of nomadic element a little bit, but I'd rather be portable and have us be the focus first, and then use our skills to end up in places where we can
Yeah.
try to build things that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still tricky. I mean, we're competing with so many things nowadays. What do you see that thing putting up those three, sonnets 61, 65, and 71. And then what was it? 3 sonnets, lose 3 subscribers.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know that there's a direct correlation, but, but would we stop doing it because of that? No. We're not doing it because I don't think we thought, well, at least I didn't. I hope this isn't a big surprise. I didn't think doing Shakespearean sonnets with quiet, simple animation was going to go viral, let's say. Did you?
Yeah, we did. It's just because I love it. That's why I want to do it. And I just want to share the love of the rhythm of the words, because I find that so interesting, reading a lot of scripts and plays and getting to study some of the greatest writers in English history, all the playwrights, all the novelists, and seeing the words that they specifically choose in a specific order and the difference that makes, and learning firsthand what happens when you miss a word, how it affects everything else. And so it's, a respect for all these writers and people are creating this stuff. And it's like, as an actor, it's like, my responsibility is to use the words that are given to me, entrusted to me.
Like that.
Yeah, to tell this story and to use these words, because every word was chosen with a purpose. They're not just thrown together haphazardly. They're done with the rhythm in mind and stuff. And then the more, playwrights, well, a few playwrights come to mind where they're musicians. And so when they write musically, lyrically, or if they speak another language, they write in the rhythm of their language, of their background and stuff. So you have to be aware of all that and just know that when you're approaching words, they're not just haphazardly chosen out of a sack of words. Oh, I'll just use this word. They're there with the rhythm, purpose, and intention. And it's your job as the reader, the actor, is to find the intention, imbue it with the truth.
Something just went in my brain about the way you were describing it, like I don't know, is it like taking a Van Gogh painting and deciding you're going to move the flowers around in a different place or leave one out or something?
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of came, that you take something and you do start to change it even more by doing things like that. It's not to say that it can't be done, because public domain things, that's what I've been liking about going back, like say Edgar Allan Poe, or why we called it Shakespeare sonnets and such, even naming that, thinking about the sibilants, the S and S, the having a repeating consonant, having 3 words, having something that has a, catchy, as in whoever's caught by Shakespeare sonnets and such may not be catchy to everybody who's scared of Shakespeare, but for ourselves, and that it's not only going to be Shakespeare, maybe some Edgar Allan Poe, maybe some other things that fit.
Other writers that guys that influenced me, the fellow who wrote the Jungle Book, Kipling, Rudyard Kipling. It's one of the first books I read when I started reading, and I was like, not a big reader when I was a kid growing up. Was never exposed to that, like the idea of reading a book. And the only books I'd seen growing up are trashy romance novels that my aunties read. But when I did start reading novels and stories, I picked up Kipling because I'd heard his name before. And then I started reading his stories, and I was really drawn into the story, the world that he created. It left a mark because he was very clear in his words, and I could picture it all. And now they're putting out versions in the more edited versions, taking out the racist language of the time. And it's not that, it's not that he was intentionally racist. It was just the world in which he grew up in. They used these words.
Yeah.
And so now the editors are wise enough to go, okay, we can take that out because it's not needed anymore. We don't need to reinforce stereotypes or racial.
Yeah.
Unlike some politicians that we know who run a country down south.
Okay. I want to be cognizant, and not because I'm trying to censor, because I'm already editing a little because of the fact that this is part of it too. When you are an artist that puts certain things out, and this is, some people will go, you should, and you're the person, and it's like, yeah, but I don't want to deal with a bunch of the courage that anonymity brings to keyboard warriors and some of that BS. So it's not to say that saying things, I agree, but there's a certain amount that I'm not, just because out of practicality. I just don't feel like wading through having those kinds of discussions in comment sections. You can sit down with people too. Yeah. But I agree. Yeah. And I will say, because you can just deal with this after we talk about it, but I'll try not to, but there's certain things that I'm just not, I don't want to talk about it, of course. But for my own sake, I don't want to put certain stuff, because I don't want to have, I'll listen to it after though too. But sorry, sweets. Is that annoying?
No, I understand. I don't want to involve in divisiveness, not a point, but also it's just one little thing. So just a little thing.
Yeah, I know. I just, my guts start to turn a little around because of the nature of people, right? And then we go into that kind of thing. But this is also the thing, what people believe art is for, and what the roles and responsibilities of people are. And even if I listen back to this and our exchange over this kind of thing, because that discussion I had with that producer the other day, that person whose name we shall, but how they, wow, that was very enlightening. So we had that one bit of work that we did that we were well paid for, and we were treated respectfully, and that was great, because that doesn't always happen in this industry. But then to find somebody who's having some challenges, and where they decide to place the blame and how they manifest it, and it's like, wowza, all right, good to know before embarking on any more projects with certain people. But as for the public domain work, so that is even going back over some of the stuff and seeing the times, like even just from a few, 20 years ago, or seeing some of those movies that we're just watching about some of the movies that we've just been watching recently. And I didn't realize they're like 20 years old, and going, that's not that long ago. But in some ways, by today's standards, is like ancient. But it is what people, that person who was screeching at me the other day, though, getting all pissy and just listening. I mean, it is fascinating to listen to somebody lose their nut like that and what they blame it on. And it's like, oh, here we go. Here's some truth serum. They don't have their filters on. They don't have their blinders on. And then expecting what they're expecting. And then it's ludicrous. It's in that, it almost felt like, okay, now go flick a switch and give us world peace. Oh, all right. I'll get right on that tomorrow, Mr. Man. Thanks for your genius diatribe on everything, and I'll just go get right on that. Thanks. Yeah. Shocking kind of stuff. But that thing too of us protecting, because we're doing this work together, you and I. And so I will do certain things too, and we try to do our best to find the respectful route forward, so that we're both not left with the fallout of something, right? And if anything, I'd say more often than not, you're the one that's more at risk of that because of my behavior than vice versa. You don't say things out there that are as divisive as I'm more inclined to do. Would that be a fair? I'm probably a lot more vocal, perhaps, assertive out there. I'm more likely to, which isn't necessarily good. I want to make sure as best I can that I continue to decide which battles to pick, because I'm more, sometimes, I don't mind a good debate. I just don't want to do it in a stupid way, like get into it with somebody out on I don't know, something that I would be stupid to do, the wrong person, the wrong time. What's the point? But I like challenge. It's just, I don't want to bring it to our doorstep, literally or figuratively or digitally. But I am looking forward to moving on to some of our next, see what other sonnets you've got. And then I am excited about some of the other things that we're talking about shooting. Because now that I'm feeling a little more confident in the editing tools that I'm acquiring. And of course, you can hire editors, you can hire people, you can do stuff, but trying to build it so that it's within our control. But it takes time, of course, to learn how to do things and to do them at a level that feels worthy to put out there. Don't want to just slap stuff together and slap it out there. It's not who we are. We've been pros in the industry, at least showing some degree of that. That's also been part of what my intimidation factor has been around doing these things that I'm just not as, I'm learning. I'm always learning, but putting it out there, there's this thing like, oh my God, it's not as good as that person, or like that editor that we're talking about working with again, who is so skilled and so nice to work with. I'm hoping that it pans out into something that we get to do some more with him, because he's so flippin' good. And he was just such a joy to work with. I'm so, despite what brought our paths together out of certain necessity of a challenging thing we were in that led us to working with him to show us the goodness of working with people like him. He helped restore faith, in but thank you for the conversation.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see you next time.
What?
We'll see you next time.
Okay.